Hi guys, my name is Sean. I'm a houseplant enthusiast from Jakarta, Indonesia. This is a very cheerful episode because I'm going to show you all the plants that are doing really well against all odds. And I'm saying that because I've been moving to this house for the last 5 to 6 months and it's been a disastrous move. If you watch some of my previous episodes, you'll know that I've been busy rescuing plants. I actually lost about half of my plant collection. This is because the house was under deep renovation due to the developer's fault. And then a lot of the plants were just covered in dust for like 3 to 4 months. Some of the plants were placed under tables, under shelves, or in direct sunlight and they burnt up or they rotted off. So a lot of disasters happened, but I actually enjoyed the rescue process, which I'm going through right now, and a lot of the plants are doing really well. And again, I lost a lot of plants, but the ones that we see today are going to be the ones that are probably very resilient or probably very lucky to have survived the ordeal. So we'll see some species that you've never seen before, and maybe I'll give you my theories on why these guys are probably doing well. So let's just get this started. Now let's start the tour with this mysterious plant. I got this as a hosta, but I'm pretty sure it's not. So do comment down below if you know what this is. And it's actually not doing well in my previous home. And here, look at it. It sprouted like a crazy amount of leaves in the last 2 months. And this is what the base looks like of the plant. It's got a very tidy base. Gorgeous. And this actually grew out of nothing, literally. All of these sprouted, and it sprouted very beautifully. This is an interesting plant, gorgeous foliage, and if this is a hosta, it probably flowers really well. But this is quickly becoming one of my favorite foliage only because it is so resilient and it grew to me in a time when all of my other plants are dying. This is amazing. So I've had them grown indoors here under like pretty bright indirect light up above. I do water it pretty sparingly. I guess this is a plant that likes to be in like lightly moist soil the whole time. It doesn't want to dry out because I think in my previous home it was dried out for a little bit too long. So yeah, gorgeous plant. Let me know what this is and let me know how you've been caring for yours. And next we've got this gorgeous fern. I actually showed this fern in my rehabilitation video and it was doing so badly. And then I realized that this is a fern that didn't want to dry out at all. So it needs to be constantly sitting in water. As you can see, it's sitting in this, oh, it's a bit dry now, but it's normally filled a little bit with water. And as you can see, the media is completely wet, soaking wet. So this might be a semi-aquatic fern and it's put on a new leaf that will probably enlarge into this. So I got this from a plant swap and it is a gorgeous fern, becoming one of my favorites. Look at how big the leaves have become. Amazing. This is doing really well. I know I've been struggling with this fern for like a year and a half in the rented home that I was living in before. Now this is interesting actually. This is a dioscorea discolor. I actually lost it during the move. It died completely. And I found this. This was just hanging out, like it grew out of this Scindapsus pot, so I don't know where this cutting actually sprouted from, but I'm glad it did because I was so sad to have lost that plant and now it's come back for me. It's put out a new leaf, as you can see here, it's putting out the secondary leaf, and this is a vining type plant. So yeah, gorgeous foliage on this. Happy to have you back. And here's another dioscorea discolor that appeared in my Pilea peperomioides pot, and this is a rescue. I'm still trying to save this plant because the main plant has died off, and I'm really happy this has sprouted for me. Alright, just to go off topic a bit, all my calatheas are actually struggling. They were infested by pests and they did not like having their leaves covered in dust, and the leaves are actually still covered in dust because I did some drilling in the wall this morning. So I don't know if the calatheas are gonna make it, to be honest. They don't like to be moved, and again they're very pest prone when they're stressed out. The next plant that's doing well is this Philodendron melanochrysum crossed with gloriosum. Look at how beautiful this foliage is, and it's doing really well climbing up this wall that I gave it. So just so you know, I built this green wall, and I'm gonna link a video up above to show you how I managed to design this wall, how I fixed the plants up onto the wall. But this is doing really well. It was doing so slow in my rental home, but now look at that, it's growing and growing. And it's beautiful how the light is hitting it now with a bit of shadow action going on. So I'm really hoping for this to grow up. Look at all this space that it can grow up into. All right, and here we have some Alocasia bambino. It's actually quite big for a bambino, and I think this has reached maturity only because, look at that, it's flowered. It's never really flowered for me in my previous home. And let me take this off actually and see what happens. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think this will self-pollinate, but there's actually 2 spadecks happening. A lot of leaves are still coming out of this. And by the way, if you don't cut the flowers off, the next leaf is gonna be teeny tiny, so which is what's happening here. So sometimes when you're more diligent, please do cut the flowers off unless you plan to pollinate it. And look at this, it put out like little pup somewhere, like it just grew out of the sun. Maybe this was already in a potting medium. And also, this tradescantia zebrina is doing really well. They're actually kind of weeds, so I chucked them somewhere and now they're growing everywhere along this green wall, and this is what I really love about them. Another plant that's doing really well is this variegated monstera. It was actually about, I think, this height when I put this plant here, and look at how much thicker the stem got. Like if you look at the size of this stem, you follow it up, it got really fat really quickly, and the leaves have fenestrated very quickly as well. So it's being in the ground, it's grounded here, and it's got a nice wall to climb onto. So this is going to be very fast growing. They actually really love this kind of setup, which replicates what they look like in their native habitat. And let's talk about episcias really quickly. They're very resilient, they're very fast growing, and they'll fill out a space very quickly. So there's an episcia here, and there's another one here. They're in the Gesneriae family, which means that they flower quite beautifully as well. I don't know if I can see any blooms here now, but they do put us these stolons. I have a video on this which I can link up above to show you what they look like. So they're stoloniferous, and as you can see, there's aerial roots here they can propagate from. And let me quickly show you back here as well. Ta-da, there's pots of these. I remember when I moved them here, they were so sad looking. They were extremely sad. And then they are now thriving. So the trick is when you have these little stolons, you can just go ahead and stick them back in the pot. You can either cut them, or if you don't want to cut it, just kind of stick them back and they will grow into like this massive bush for you. And there's another one back there. They're actually very resilient. This is a nice pink one. It's a bit slow growing. Maybe I should move it a bit more to the front so it can get a little bit more light. There, this will turn into this in maybe 3 to 4 months. That's just how crazy they grow. Now let's talk about dieffenbachia really quickly. They're very resilient, they're very strong, they're very easy to grow, they're very forgiving. I have this grown up on that shelf, so it's getting very excellent bright indirect light. And I remember when I got this was also suffering. It suffered from overwatering, so I made these cuts, as you can see here, and I stuck the cuttings back down into its own pot. And now I have a full pot of this. How wonderful. And this is gonna grow up a little bit bigger, and I might have to repot it to a bigger pot at some point, but they're beautiful. So dieffenbachias, they look really nice in a bush like this, because I remember when I got this was just one single vine. So this is amazing. Look at how beautiful this pattern is. I'm going to do a video soon, so stay tuned on styling these, because these plants, I'm actually preparing them to be styled around my home. The interior of my home is actually very sad looking now. I was supposed to turn it into an indoor jungle, but again, most of my plants died. So I'm waiting for some of these. As you can see here, these are rehabbing, like this peperomia here as well. These are all moving indoors as soon as they get better. Oh, I need to clean the leaves. So basically, I just drilled this fan in here. So there's a lot of dust covering these. I'm gonna have to have them cleaned soon. Now this is actually my pink corner here, and everybody's doing really well. There's a Syngonium milk confetti over here. I don't know, pink something, Syngonium, pink perfection, pink something. Comment if you know what this is. And there's a Begonia manaus here that's kind of trailing over a little bit, and then some, what is this? Piper crocatum. Actually, this is very thirsty. Let me check the soil. Yeah, it's very dry. I do need to water this. You can feel from the leaves that they're very limp, but once you water it, it perks up a bit. But look at that new growth happening here. So this was actually just cuttings when I had it in here a few months ago, because I was saving them. They're actually not forgiving to like forgetfulness. If I forget to water this in the next 1 or 2 days, this will probably die. So yeah, we're not going to be talking about Hoyas in this episode because I'd lost like 80% of my Hoyas, and these are all doing badly. They're on the cusp, on the brink of death. Even this macrophylla, which is supposed to be unkillable, they're supposed to be easy. I don't know what happened. I think somebody forgot to water it completely, or it was overwatered at some point. But my Hoyas, they did not like the move, so a lot of them has died, unfortunately. This is the Leea coccinea burgundy. It's actually in the Leea genus, and look at the new leaves. It's so gorgeous and it's dark. I really love. If you look at it up close, they're actually very beautiful, but actually if you zoom out, it looks like a little shrub. And other Leas are this one. This is the Leea amabilis. I believe this is the Leea zipoliana, and what it's trying to do here is that it's creeping out of this pot. It's like gotten too tall, so it's like falling over. And if I put another pot here, this will root into the pot. So I might actually do that for a video soon. But look at that, it's put out vines from below that because it knows that the top is a little bit compromised. So is that mealybugs? I don't know, I see white spots. Nope, not mealybugs. Oh yeah, they do put out these spots sometimes like that on the leaves, like little like water dews that look like pests, but these are not pests. So Leea amabilis and the Leea zipoliana tend to do that. And then look at all this new baby growth coming out from here. So I would say that this plant is doing well. The Leea genus in general are very, very forgiving. Look at this beautiful new leaf. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous plant, and I have a feeling this will take off soon in the houseplant market. And this is getting slightly lower light, which is to see it's living under the other plants. So it's getting dark, dark burgundy foliage. And this is amazing. So this is the same plant, the zipoliana. This one's not doing as hot as the one below. But yeah, this is I would say a genus that is quite resilient, surprisingly, considering that these are like very, very deep forest type plants that might actually be difficult to care for, but no, they're actually very, very resilient. It's quite impossible to kill them actually. Now this here, I'm very excited to show you this. This is the Philodendron Jose Buono, but look at the chubby leaves on these. How crazy is that? It looks like the Monstera type constellation. It's so round. Normally for Jose Buonos, their leaves are actually long and like sword-like. And this one's also a little bit chubby. I don't know if it's this mutated here to give me these like short stubbly leaves. But I moved it here in the ground a few months ago when I moved here, just chucked it here. And it's doing really well. As you can see, the variegation is a little bit lost because I had this in lower light in my previous home, and now the variegations come back. So this is a plant that is very easy to grow, very forgiving, very resilient, but the variegation does not go away. See the new leaf here, the variegation is just so stunning. And this has become very affordable these days. So keep your eye out on this. If you want a stress-free variegated plant that is affordable, this is amazing. And I'm really happy to see how this is getting bigger. And this has this whole wall to climb onto in the future. Now let's talk about this Sharonii. I can't say that this is doing fantastically well because it's flopped over. It's gotten so top heavy. There's so many leaves. If you can see here, it's very, very compact, and it shouldn't be. Normally, if you look at other Sharonii, they're a little bit leggier, but then I think it's just really, really happy. So it's like gotten so top heavy, but I do need to, let me check down below. I might do a video on how to do this. I might chop this off and root it because it's like really flopping over, but I know it's not broken off yet. So yeah, I'm gonna do this. A few growth points happening here. So yeah, I need to just cut this and then have it properly mounted on the wall, because the point is to have this Sharonii climb up and be the centerpiece of this wall. They're actually prolific climbers, so I'm excited for that to happen. Ooh, and one more thing, there's a lot of plants that are doing well here. They really love being in the ground. These are my grounded area. This is an Epipremnum Aureum, but this is a Dracaena variety. I don't really know much about it, but I came in a plant swap. It might be a bit different from the regular golden pothos. Let me know if you know what the Dracaena is, comment down below. And then there's also this one. This has actually also become a bit top heavy. This is the Epipremnum pinnatum. I need to figure out how to, look at how big this leaf is. I need to figure out how to get them to climb up the wall instead of falling over. Maybe I have to drill it, like drill into the wall, and yeah, let me figure that out, because this is like not sexy, it's like flopping over, but it's doing really well. It's put out like gorgeous new leaves, but I do need to help it along. So the problem is, if I kept this since it was a baby, I had it in the ground, it will probably grasp onto the wall better. But the fact that I put it in here when it was about like waist height, the leaves, the roots below, the aerial roots have not taken onto the wall. So that means that the new aerial roots here doesn't have enough to adhere to the wall to support this whole plant. So that's the problem with this, and also that Sharonii. I need to help it along, but it's doing really well here. And this Rhaphidophora decursiva, amazing. Very underrated plant. This is actually a very easygoing plant, very slow, but look at how beautiful this fan-shaped leaf is. Gorgeous. There's actually a lot of really cool, I don't even remember what are hiding in here. This is probably the Pluminii narrow-form. Nice to see you. This is doing really well here. I remember putting this here when it was still a baby. So I don't know if you can tell how excited I am, but look at this new leaf, is growing out really gorgeous. They really do grow so much faster in the ground than they do in pots. Oh my gosh, so exciting. I'm glad I'm doing this video because otherwise I may not have checked on them. I've been so busy traveling and I was just recovering from the dengue fever and my mom had some medical emergency. I had to take care of things. And then I'm also traveling in 2 weeks time to Bangkok. So I've been like not spending as much time with my plants. This is, I think, the Verrucosum X, which one is this? Gloriosum? I think that's what it says. But this is also doing well. Look at all these new leaves that are coming out of this. Amazing. So everybody's been here for about 3 to 4 months in the ground. And then some beautiful Philodendron Parasol Verde. But this is actually surprisingly slow here. Let me check. Look at how it's intertwined with the burl marks. Yeah. Let me see. Are you not growing? What's happening down below? Yeah, this is pretty slow, surprisingly. Normally, the Parasol Verde is quite a fast growing, one of the fastest growing philodendrons, but I don't know what's happening with this. But this, I was distracted with this earlier. Look at how this is the Burlemarx variegated, and it's almost as big as that leaf. This is considered a pretty big leaf. This is very happy here. You're very happy. I have some living in pots as well, but I don't think it's grown this big and this quickly as they are here. And this here, so I have to move some leaves out of the way. I think this needs a bit more light because it's being covered by many other plants. But this is the aspidistra variegated. Look at how beautiful the variegation is. A very underrated variegated aroid. It creeps sideways in the soil, so it's not one that wants to climb up a wall or anything, but it's so beautiful. The green one, it's beautiful for like indoors because they can stand almost no light. It can also live in water, but I really love this texture here, this variegation on this. Yeah, but this is a very slow growing plant, by the way. Ooh, and I just noticed this Aglaonema rotundum. If you put them in low light, they'll put out this beautiful electrifying pink stripes. The older leaves, as you can see, are a little bit more dull because I had it in brighter light. And if this plant, you grow them in like a bright indirect light, the leaves become light green. So if you want dark leaves with like a very contrasty type, like neon pink pattern on the rotundum, keep them in like a medium or low light. And this here, this is an Anthurium viterifolium variegated. Anthurium viterifoliums are actually very easy growing plants. I got this from a plant swap and it's like grown so big. It came as a baby. It's a tiny baby, and I think it's that flower. Yeah, it's flowered. It's flowered for me. Yeah, there's more, one more flower there. Beautiful variegation. This is a very underrated Anthurium because it's so forgiving, it's so easy to care for, and it's so fast growing. It's very good for confidence building. And when you have them up on a shelf like this, it's such an amazing jungle vibe. Now there are some Alocasias here, and they were really spared by the move because they were basically killed down to a corm right before my move actually. So the corm was already sprouting, and so they didn't have the process where they were covered in dust. So these are the new leaves that came out kind of like during or after the renovation. This is the Watsoniana, if I'm not wrong. Welcome. I'm so happy to have you back. They were grown back from the corm, again from the brink of death, but they're doing so well now. This one I believe is the Amazonica, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, and it's still a baby actually. And this, I'm so proud of this. Look at this. This is a Sarracenia, Lana's Delight. If I'm not wrong, this came from a plant swap. How beautiful is this? So this is actually a carnivorous plant, and I finally chucked it out here to give it like the full sun that it actually needs. So it's doing really well. Before it was giving me these tiny leaves that did nothing in my old home because I did not have full sun for it, and now it's just put out this amazing, look at how beautiful these are. I'm really proud of this, and I think I'm gonna leave it here for forever pretty much because it's just so happy here. Look at how stunning the features are on these, and they really are a survivor because they did not die for me before. I had this for about a year. It put out these like sad looking leaves, but it just kept hanging on to its dear life, and now it's time to shine. I actually do recommend this plant if you have like full sun, or if you are willing to supplement it with like grow lights from above. They do really well. And they're not super demanding. All you need to give it is like rainwater or clean water. Do not fertilize it, and it's gonna do well for you. This sansevieria is living in like low light in my old house, outside on my doorstep actually. So look at that, it's exploding and growth. So it's living in full sun now, and I'm surprised that none of the leaves actually burnt, even though it's transitioned very suddenly. But everything, look at that, that's growing. As you can see down below, everything is bushing out. This was actually very scraggly when I moved here about a few months ago, and I think in a few more months this is going to be a full pot. So my winning formula for sansevierias, or dracaenas if you want to be correct, is to give them full sun. I would actually acclimatize it slowly if possible, instead of just chucking. This is a bit yellowing. Yellowing is a sign of a bit of a burn or sun stress on these, but then they really grow fast. And same with ZZ plants. Sorry, this one is a variegated ZZ. I had it in my sunroom before, but it was getting like medium to bright indirect light, and now it's living in, as you can see, that's the direct sunlight. Don't stare directly at the sun, don't look at it. But yeah, it's living under very intense light, and everything is growing. This was doing nothing for a long time. Look at how beautiful this new vine is coming out. Oh my gosh, yeah. So a lot of plants are like palms, also doing well in full sun. This Alocasia, let me check on you. It sprouted out of nothing, but it does like full sun. So I might have to actually give it just a bit more light. I don't spend enough time, you guys, with my plants. Honestly, I've been pretty busy with what's going on. A lot of disasters happening in my life. But I'm really happy to be able to reconnect and share these moments with you guys and check on these. But this is doing really well. It's got beautiful variegation on these. This year, this Syngonium is also doing really well, but I don't need to tell you about Syngoniums because they are survivors and they thrive in anything. This was actually super tiny leaves. They propagated from like little stumps. But yeah, from wet stick propagation, sorry. So this has become really beautiful. I love propagating Syngoniums and from little stumps. And that's the larger one back there, and it's living in water. I really like seeing the small leaves come out from these Syngoniums. Absolute survivors. All right, this rubber tree, this was actually one of my first plants. Look at how beautiful it's doing. And this mirror is helping it a lot. It's getting some light reflected off the mirror and onto the leaves. So it's doing really well here. They do drink a lot less water when it's living in, I would say this is a medium light situation, because this was living out in direct sunlight at some point before. So they can actually adapt really well. I think this is during the adaptation process, like some of the leaves didn't do so well, but the new leaves that unfurled are doing really well here. And this was actually covered in dust during the renovation because this was so big. It's like an elephant in the room, but it's doing really well now. I'm really happy, and it's like hanging on. It's such a beautiful piece over here. When I come down the stairs, let me back up the stairs. This is what I see when I come down the stairs, and it's just such a nice welcome. All right, we're up in the balcony area. This is where a lot of rescuing and rehabilitation takes place. So this is doing really well. This Dioscorea, when I moved over here, it was like super small and tiny, but look at it now. And it's very satisfying to see these rows and rows of leaves. They're actually very slow growing, so this is very satisfying to see. I want to show you something crazy. This is the Philodendron pink princess, not a pink Congo. This is one that I got from tissue culture. So the bottom leaves look like a pink princess, but it's mutated and now it's given me all pink leaves up top. So this was from our tissue culture video where I try to rehab this. I might actually cut the base here to let it encourage new vines because the pink new growth may not survive. But let's see, I'm enjoying this for now because it is actually quite stunning to see this. And there's this really happy here. This is the Aglaonema Lotus Delight from our Aglaonema video. It was actually a very sad video because we lost all the other cuttings, but this was the only surviving top cutting, and it's doing really well now, and it's growing and growing. And this is a Philodendron biliatai variegated, also from our video. So if you want to see how that's propagated, do check out that video. I'm going to link that up above, and it's grown a lot bigger than before. But I really wanted to show you from up here, a lot of the Anthuriums are doing better. They were actually a lot more overwatered in my previous homes. I kept rescuing them, but over here they're doing really well. This is Forgetii with a new leaf. And then there's some over here. This is a hybrid from Mr. Eddie. This is a, I think, Magnificent X Crystallinum. There's this one here too. Do you remember these were actually dead to a stump at some point? So these were all literally like rescues. And this is also doing beautifully well. This is luxuriance crossed with papillilaminum from Mr. Eddie Pranotto. And this one came back to life. It was like completely dead. Look at the beautiful roots on this. So this is the King of Spades. And that is also a gift from Eddie. This is doing really well, but I must say I cheated because this was under the care of Mr. Chandra. This is a dorayaki crossed with Anthurium veitchii. Gorgeous. I only had recently gotten it here, but a lot of the Anthuriums are rehabbing rather well. Like these two, these are all almost like stumps. Actually, this is a bit too much water. Do not get them so wet. Hang on. Yeah, Anthuriums, they can get overwatered too easily. So this is a bit too soggy wet, if you know what I mean. So I'm letting it out, like getting some air down below by doing this. Let's see. Letting the roots get a bit of air. Yeah, I'm gonna have to ask the caretaker to be careful about this one. And then there's another, I don't know the Anthuriums, by the way. There are a lot of hybrids. I don't know all the names. I didn't write down all the names for them. Don't know who gave me this or what the species is, but this is a hybrid. Yeah. So this is my Monstera called Celia. She's my first ever Monstera. And my baby girl, Josie, is living inside this plant because she was buried underneath this plant in my dad's plot of land. Josie was my dog, by the way. And hopefully her spirit has transferred into this plant, and I've since then taken the plant off from the ground and brought it to my new home where she can live with me here in my upstairs bedroom, and it's doing really well. So when I moved her here, she had like no aerial roots back there, and now she's starting to grab onto the wall, and she's very welcome to grab onto the wall. Please do that. And she's put out like beautiful new leaves. Look at that. It's unfurling, and it didn't grow for much because maybe it was living under a tree under deep shade for like a long time. So she's only now sprouting to life. She's put out like, I think every 3 weeks, one new leaf. So that's a pretty fast growth in my book. And here's the thing, this light was not here before. I've only got like this one light and this bit of grow light happening. I can actually move this around, and a bit of window light. That's actually where the window is. And what happened was that Celia started turning that way. The leaves started facing that way. It's growing towards the light over here, this window here. And after installing this light, as you can see, she has now leaned this way, and she's also growing a lot faster. So this is an argument that actually any light, this is not a grow light, this is just a regular LED light bulb, that any light works. You don't have to buy grow lights. And with that being said, no grow light business will ever sponsor me, and this is why I'm always so broke. So if you feel like doing financial contributions to the channel, feel free to reach out to me. I will do a shout out for you, or you can be an official sponsor to one of my future episodes. But yeah, I digress. So yeah, any light will do. Don't have to buy fancy grow lights for them, and they do lean towards the light. So that's really cute, and I hope that this takes off. And what happens when this takes off is that it's gonna grow up there, and I'm gonna get another light up here for the plant, and maybe stick a few more plants along the shelf, because I think it's such a waste to have the light here. This is a Hoya that I just chucked here this morning. I will probably put a little bit more plants here because it's a waste of electricity if I just have it for this one plant. So I'm gonna maybe rearrange the shelf a little bit. And yes, I'm a very good sewer. I used to be in a fashion design. So yeah, anyways, I digress. So this is gonna grow up, and this is a vaulted ceiling. So maybe, I don't know what the leaves will do. Hopefully it'll do like a vaulting thing, but we'll cross that bridge when it gets to it. But what I'm excited to do is to dress this area up. So this is like another office area that I have. So it's like my snack, it's like ironing. I need to clean this up. My house is still in disarray. So what I'm gonna do is like have this be amazing, have like maybe a little shelf here, put some plants here, do some artificial light, and also have some natural light here. There's a bit of an antique fan action going on. So this has the potential to be very, very cute area. But I've been away, I haven't had the time. And honestly, I'm so strapped with budget. I spent like money on this house, repairing it and things like that. So give me time, And it'll be a very good process to take it slow, to dress this up with plants from downstairs from my greenhouse, and also like get maybe a bit of furniture and shelving and things like that, and maybe more lights. But yeah, that will take time. So stay tuned in the channel if you want to see how I do it, how this space transforms over time. All right, last but not least, we're inside again, and this, I believe this is a Dracaena. Do correct me if I'm wrong, but this was living outside of my plant studio before in very, very low light, and was living outdoors, and it was like not doing anything. It didn't do anything for about a year and a half, and look at it now. It's like put out new growth after growth. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this at some point, because this is going to become a bit unruly, but as for now, it's actually a good size here right next to my couch. I might actually propagate it in the future and let it turn into a tree. I do like it when you have that one leggy stem coming up and you might have to tie the top together to form a little tree. But yeah, this is actually a very, very underrated plant. I really enjoy this. And for my next episode, I'm going to be styling this whole area. So this is a preview for you guys. Like, everything's still really messy now. I'm going to have to style this place up, because a lot of the plants are now in better conditions where I can actually start styling them, as they have suffered during the move. Alright, so I guess that's it for today's videos. I hope that you got to see some interesting species here, and maybe some of these stories have gotten you guys in a very positive mood, because it did. Got me happy for a few moments to appreciate these plants. This is what the garden looks like from up above on my balcony. So I'll be doing a house tour video soon, and a lot more rescuing, propagating type videos at home, because I'll try to limit my traveling. I know I've been traveling quite a lot, looking at other people's plants and a little bit neglecting my own plants. And again, I've lost a lot of plants. I actually quite like that. There's a bit of bambino there, and then another bambino there, and then there's another little clump over here. I like that bit of repetition, actually. And yeah, I wish you guys happy holidays. I know it's the holiday seasons, and hope that next year is gonna be amazing for everybody, because I don't know about you guys, this year has been pretty tough for me. And please stay warm if you're living in the Europe, United States, and because I know the winter is a little bit harsh this year for everybody. Stay warm, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye bye. Hey guys, I wanted to do a personal shout out to John or Joanne. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name, but it's Joan from Lagos. That's in Africa. And her Instagram is going to be on the screen. In case you want to reach out to her, she's a content writer and she writes about houseplants. For those of you who are thinking of donating to the channel, reach out to me on Instagram and I'll share with you my PayPal account, and I'll be sure to give you a shout out and a personal thank you. For those of you who cannot donate just by watching these videos, commenting, liking, it really, really helps me out a lot with YouTube algorithm as well as the ad revenues. Thank you again, everybody.